Good morning and welcome to another start to your week with Monday Morning Mentor. My name is Gutekunst with Elevate, and as you can see right now, I'm outside in the beautiful weather. It's a little bit breezy, so I apologize in advance for any wind or cars you hear driving by. I live right across the street from a school, so it might get a little bit noisy at some point. But I just couldn't resist the urge to just record this on my porch this morning because it just feels so fantastic. And I hope it's feeling fantastic wherever you are as well. Now, like I talked about in my teaser over on Saturday, we're going to be talking about leads today. We're going to be talking about segmenting, separating, targeting, the importance of doing that with your leads and contacts, and the benefits that you can reap from doing it. So first off, let's think about how common this is. So statistically, about 1 out of every 3 of y'all are actually segmenting and targeting your leads in an effective way. And about 50% of y'all statistically have reported that you want to do much more of this in order to help grow your business, to have better results with your marketing. And I completely understand. At the end of this, I would love for 100% of you to be segmenting and targeting your leads effectively. But it's going to be a process, and if this video can contribute a little bit to that, just a little bit, then I feel like I've done my part. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, let's talk about why. Why is it important to do something like this? Why is it important to take just all of your leads and put them into different buckets, if you will, different audiences that you can send messaging to? Why is that important? Well, the first part of it, and I think probably one of the most obvious parts of it, is that not all of your leads are the same, right? You know, a buyer lead is going to be markedly different than a seller lead. A past client is going to be much more different than a current client or a cold lead that you just got in, or maybe just a hand raiser from your website. You want to be able to speak to all of these different audiences with a different message, something that speaks directly to them. So just off the bat, let's think about some different lead types that you might have. You know, you may have buyers, sellers. You may have renters if you deal with leases and rental properties. You may have leads that are separated on their different properties that they're interested in. You may have contacts inside of your account that are agents, and you are actually, not marketing to agents necessarily to have them purchase or sell a home, but you may have agents inside of your database that you're sharing new listings or open houses with. And it's important to be able to speak to those different leads differently, right? You don't want to send a new listing to a lead who has literally just bought a house from you. You don't want to send, open house information to your sellers if you know that those sellers aren't interested in actually sticking around. They're actually selling their home so that they can move maybe out of state. So it's important to have your leads separated into different buckets or lists so that you can target them effectively with content that makes sense for those leads. The next part of it is that not all leads are in the same level of the sales funnel, right? So inside of your sales funnel, you have awareness, you have interest, you have engagement, you have the sale, and then you have loyalty. Now, someone who is on the awareness level is going to receive something from you that's very different than someone who is on the engagement level. And someone who's on the engagement level is going to receive something very different from you, or needs to receive something very different from you, than someone who is perhaps on the loyalty level. So that's why it's important to have lists inside of your database as well that not only look at what type of, if it's a buyer versus seller, but also where they're at in that funnel. If they're a new lead, if they are a hand raiser, if they're a cold lead, if they're a current client, if they're a past client, all of these different tags, labels, lists, however you want to do it, are all applicable in the segmenting process. And the last part I want to touch on out of this initial section is that it will increase your email reputation and engagement. Now, what do I mean by that? It's kind of a roundabout way to get there, but let's just bear with me for a second. So let's say you have 100 leads and they're just a jumble of leads. They're sellers, they're buyers, they're past clients, they're current clients, and you send out a new listing email. Now, out of those 100 leads, let's say that maybe 20 of them are interested in buying at the moment. They're one of those buyer leads. So you send out that listing email, and then out of that 20, let's say that 5 of them open up your email and are actively clicking and engaging with it. 5 of those 20 buyer leads specifically. Other people may be opening it and doing things like that, but honestly, they're the only ones who are actually interested in that content, right? So you send out this listing, 5 of these buyer leads are opening it, and 5 of them are engaging with it. Now, that's, on some level that's positive, right? At least they're engaging with it. But out of 100, that's 5. That's 5%. What if we turned it around? What if we took that listing email and we only sent it to the demographic that we knew would be interested in it? What if we only sent it to that 20? Well, out of that 20, if 5 people are opening it up, that's a much higher percentage, right? And that's the whole game that's played when it comes to email servers especially. If you have an email that has a 5% engagement rate versus an email that has a 20% engagement rate, right? Then you are looking at a much stronger, I should math that better, 25% engagement rate. You're going to have an email with a much stronger reputation. When you consistently do that, when you're consistently sending messaging to your segments and targets that are specifically meant for them, that makes sense and add value to specifically them, that just continues to build your engagement and improve your reputation over time. And then whenever you kind of extend that, you start sending out things like newsletters, which go out to a much broader audience. That reputation and engagement carries over into those as well. Now, what's some of the improvements I'm talking about? So statistically, I'm going to go into a little bit of numbers here, but whenever you do something that's much more targeted, you're looking at something like a 40% increase in your engagement rates. You're looking at about a 30% decrease in things like unsubscribes and opt-outs, along with about a 20% higher retention rate, and overall about a 35% increase in the relevance of your emails, right? Which is important. All of that information is important. So lastly, let's take a look at some strategies that you can implement to segment and enhance your database. So the first thing you want to do is be able to split up your contacts in your database based on demographics, right? You want to do things like location, their family size, where they're interested in going, if they have any personal interests, or the types of listings that they're interested in. Information that will be relevant overall. And it's not something you have to get all at once through a form. This can be information that you've accumulated over time through conversations with this lead, right? You don't have to have this massive form that just asks for all of this data all at once. I mean, because honestly, people aren't going to really want to fill that out. People don't want a huge survey just because they're interested in the listing. So it's important to have a database or a contact manager in place that as you are accumulating these different data points on your different leads, that you can easily add it in and keep track of it. Next, you can separate your contacts into different lists based on their engagement with your emails and your marketing. So if you send out an email and people are clicking on the listing inside of it, you can create a list specifically inside of your CRM or inside of your email manager that just says, here are the people who clicked on or are interested in this particular listing. If you're using a system like Elevate that has eMerge built into it, I mean, you can create as many lists as you want. There's really no limit. And what's really cool is that you can have people in multiple lists, right? So you can have someone who's in a buyer list as well as a list specific to a listing, and maybe a list that has to do with the type of listing that they're interested in, or maybe like their budget range, right? So based on their engagement with you, with your emails, with social posts, with links inside of your emails, with conversations that you've had with them, you can move people around into different buckets or different lists so that you can target them with more intelligent and informative data and content. Next, take a look at what they've done in the past, right? If you've worked with this person in the past, when was the last time they purchased a home? How much was it for? How long has it been since they purchased it? That type of information can also clue you in onto when they might be ready to make a move again. What was it, like the average time that a family spends in a home is something like 5 years? Well, if you've had someone who you can tell through your data and through your segmenting has been in their home for about 5 years, maybe it's time to clue in on them and kind of see, okay, has this person been engaging more with my emails? Have they been looking at the different listings on my website? Let's take a look at this person again and kind of see where they're at if they've started moving. You also want to look at things like geographical data. Are they interested in something that's local? Are they interested in moving far away if they're a seller lead? If they're a buyer lead, are they interested in specific neighborhoods? Are they interested in being inside city limits versus outside of city limits? All of this information doesn't have to just stay inside of like the little like data points within the within the lead themselves. You can actually move someone or keep someone in these different buckets so that it's easier for you to visualize where they are at and how you can target them with that good content. If you have a system that does that for you automatically, like Elevate, then it's very, very simple. If you have a system like Emerge, which is built into Elevate, that allows you to kind of like track through all of that as well, and kind of keeps everything synced up really nicely for you, that just makes it all the more easier. One less thing you have to think about doing. There's a lot of that that's automated for you. All right, so bringing it all back around, so what does this all mean? Well, first off, we've seen that not every agent is doing this, but every agent needs to be doing this. Next, we've seen, what are some of the things that you can do, the why, if you will, like why is it important? Statistically, it's going to increase your engagement. It's going to make it so your content makes more sense to the people that you're sending it to. It's going to make it so that managing all your contacts is going to be much easier, right? Because you don't just have this big glob of your sphere. You have your sphere that's then broken out and segmented into these different targets. And then the way that you do that is by breaking people into these different lists and groups, just depending on, again, where they're at in the sales funnel, demographic data, their engagement with you. All these little things factor in to how you can not only group people together, but then target them with content and information that they're going to find valuable and they're going to want to engage with. Now, like I mentioned it before, I work at Elevate, and so I'm going to plug them a little bit here. But if you're using a system like Elevate, where it has a really intelligent email marketing system baked into it, like Emerge, you're going to be able to have a lot of this automated for you, where the different processes and segmenting and information data capture is all kind of handled from end to end, regardless of where your lead is at inside the funnel, which is why a system like that is really, really valuable. It can give you really a fantastic return on your investment. So what I would encourage is to head over to tryelevate.com, check out the information that we have over there that kind of tells you about the different options and selections inside of the platform, and pick out something that you would find would lend itself best to your management style for contacts. There's a lot to choose from, and I know there are some great people over there who would love to have a conversation with you about it. So check it out, see if there's anything that kind of fits the mold for you, and until next time, my name is Aaron Gutekunst. It was great talking with you, and I am ready to go enjoy that beautiful weather. See you later. Bye-bye.